grandma wants to go buy cannabis because she has breast cancer, I don't think she wants to see Alaskan Thunderfuck. I would rather have her go in and buy something that maybe it is Alaskan Thunderfuck, but it has a different name attached to it, a more of a medical science name. And recreational and adult use is a big part of the United States, but I really believe that medical is what is moving us forward, and that's why we have come so far in such a short time. And I'll give you an example of that. Children with epilepsy have been benefiting greatly from this. And the beauty about epilepsy is that you immediately see that it's gone, right? With cancer, you have to, go see if the tumor shrinks, all of that. But seizures, kids with Dravet's and Doza and so many other seizure disorders that I had no idea existed, these kids are having 150 to 200 grand mal seizures a day. But they look like this almost all day long, and when you can give that child some cannabis oil with low THC and high CBD, and that child immediately stops seizuring, and some of these children have never had a seizure again as they continue to take cannabis, that moves people. And that moves Sanjay Gupta. If you don't know who Sanjay Gupta is, he is the leading doctor on CNN, and he came out and publicly apologized that he was wrong, and cannabis has medical benefits. When that happened, our president took notice and everybody else did, and it has been flying since then. So I respect everybody here and the fact that, we're entitled to our social freedoms, but I truly believe that it will help people move forward faster if we can talk about the medical side of cannabis. So now that I babbled on about that, so 3 things: laboratories and consulting and technology, and what sets us apart is science-based solutions. All the data that we have collected over the years on the different products and strains. And then this is to help people understand what are cannabinoids. The plant has over 500 constituents, and about 487 of those are unique to the cannabis plant. That's amazing. That to me says whole plant medicine right there. Cannabinoids, there's, I believe at the last count, they thought there was 66 or more cannabinoids, and all we talk about is CBD and THC. Something wrong with that. We need to move forward, and that's why testing is so important, because you cannot find these other cannabinoids if you do not test. You cannot find CBG, you cannot find CBC. And CBD is wonderful, but so are the rest of the cannabinoids in the plant. And so far, only THC is psychoactivity. So for the people that don't want that, imagine all the medicine we can create with the rest of the 66 cannabinoids. Although I am a big fan of THC, I think people start to look at it as the redheaded stepchild, and it's not. It's very key to what goes on in this entourage or orchestra of all of these constituents in the plant. They work together like lock and key. So testing is very important, and it will help you understand what you have and how to help people regardless if it's for adult use or recreational use. Cannlabs can identify 10 cannabinoids, and like Dr. Arno was saying yesterday, if you do not have a reference standard, you cannot test for that cannabinoid. So right now we were able to find 10 reference standards, so that's why we test for 10 cannabinoids. And then terpenes. Terpenes have blown up. They're very medicinal, and they are, I believe, the key to the mystery of some of the things that are going on right now. What I mean by that, somebody brings in their product and it tests it, and they're like, this is the fire. You've never heard that before. My stuff's the best. They bring it in, it comes back, THC is maybe 10% or 12, and they thought it was gonna be 30. But it gets me really high. Well, that's nice, but the THC again works with 500 other constituents. So some of the reason for this is the terpenes also that work with the cannabinoids. So we're learning a lot about terpenes in the United States, and actually Colorado is a little bit behind California. California is really great on terpenes, and we just started to test for those. So I think you get a good idea of why we should test. It's interesting in Colorado. Colorado had an industry before regulation. So we had Amendment 20 in 2000. A lot of people in Colorado didn't even know about it. And dispensaries didn't start coming up until about 2009, and that's after Obama. Our president sent out the Ogden memo in October of 2009 that said he was going to respect states and marijuana. So that's when everybody took the chance to start opening up dispensaries in Colorado. And then regulation came in 2010. Well, the industry pretty much lobbied against testing. And I didn't know enough about lobbying. So really, we do not have a lot of testing mandated. Now that we ended prohibition in 2012, in 2014 was when you could first purchase marijuana, but it didn't have to be tested. And right now, only potency has to be tested. It doesn't need to be tested for health and safety, which is crazy. And then medical marijuana doesn't have to be tested at all. So some of the tests we do are, you can see up on the screen, from potency to microbial, pesticides, residual solvents. I know that when we first started doing concentrate testing, the butane was probably around 50,000 parts per million. That's dirty. People thought they purged, they did not purge. So people have got that number down to less than 50 parts per million. In Washington State, I think the limit's 600 parts per million, and then in Colorado, I believe it's around 900 or 1,000 parts per million. But we really don't know how much butane is safe. I mean, we don't have any studies on that, so you want to make sure you're careful with your concentrates. We found E. coli, salmonella, black mold, a ton of pesticides. Again, if you have flowers with pesticides and you make concentrates with it, you are just you're amplifying all of those pesticides. So just keep in mind of all that. Cannabis can make you sick. So if you want to go to a club and people that you trust and that you know have clean cannabis. So the American Herbal Pharmacopoeia, this is a group of people that make monographs for botanicals. So basically some testing limits and everything. And they're not new to this, and they decided to do one for cannabis, which we're very grateful. We had a lot of people work on that. I actually believe, I think Arno worked on that as well. So basically it kind of tells you what are some okay limits for microbials and all of that kind of thing. All of those kind of things. Residual solvents, pesticides, aflatoxins, homogeneity. Homogeneity means you have a candy bar and you cut it in half, each side should be the same. Well, of course they weren't, and people have really over-medicated and gotten very sick. So in Colorado, we take it very serious, and we've actually lowered the milligrams per gram to 100 maximum with 10 milligrams per serving because people were getting really sick. And they're not dying, but when you start getting that paranoid, you think you're dying, and they've been calling the emergency room, and it hasn't been good. So in Colorado, we've taken a stand to really talk about dosage, go slow, and understand that it can make you very sick. Plus, edibles are completely different. I know a lot of people in Colorado hope for that they actually separate out edibles from smokables, because it's just completely a different feeling, a different process in your body, completely different. So research, we've been doing some shelf life studies for food. because no one else is doing that, and I think it's very important to understand, you know, what's happening when you infuse your foods with cannabis. It's not easy to do. For those of you who have tried it, most edibles are not used with flower. They're used with concentrates first, just because it makes more sense financially. So just a little bit about the United States right now. There's 23 states that are medical. The majority of the U.S. favor legalization at this time. They are really changing their mind about it. And again, it's usually the children that are sick that are benefiting from this that are really pushing this movement forward. As you can imagine, if you had a sick child, you would do anything for that sick child, and these parents are. They're testifying, they're flying all over the country to make sure that this medicine is available for everybody, because it is really important. And you know, the whole point of what we do is people have the choice. That's what it's about. People have the choice to have this medicine for medicine. People have the choice to have this for recreational or adult use, since we know it's much safer than alcohol and prescription pills and everything else. So we want people to have the freedom to have this medicine, and we don't want people to have to move, you know, to Colorado to get treatment for their kids either. You wouldn't believe how many parents now are growing underground in their prospective states that are illegal, and they're growing cannabis to make medicine for their children. Colorado is very unique just because we did have a lot of regulation before prohibition. So our regulation started in 2010 for dispensaries, and then, you know, the vote passed in 2012, and they were smart, and they looked to people that already had dispensaries and took note from them, asked them if they wanted to be in recreational or not, and they knew they had people that knew what they're doing. Therefore, the rollout was smooth. I think people waited for 4 or 5 hours. It was pretty amazing. There were people from 21, because you have to be 21 to buy recreational, to, I swear to God, 90, 100. Some of them just came to end prohibition. They don't even use, they just think it should be legal, and they think it should be a choice. It was pretty incredible. So really, Colorado has done some great things. Now, of course, they're not perfect, and there's still some things we're fixing. But as far as in prohibition, I think we've done a fantastic job. The legalized market in 2014, I believe, was worth about $2.7 billion. So you can imagine how many taxes that went to. I mean, Colorado was, in the industrial areas of Colorado, was kind of a ghost town. Buildings didn't have anything in it. People had leased buildings for 10 years, and it is flourishing. Instead of smelling dog food, you now smell cannabis along I-70. It's a beautiful thing. And then this checkpoint is just kind of to look at the difference between the United States and some of the progression of the rest of the country. You can see that Colorado is pretty far with their mandating and their regulation. Like I said, I'm very excited to see Nevada. This will be the first state that rolls out mandatory testing in a regulated market, so I'm excited to see how that goes. And you can see in the states, pre-2011 and post, a little bit different. All of the states that had come online earlier, like California in '96, I believe, and then New Mexico, Arizona, Oregon, some of those early states did not have testing. But all the states coming on board really after 2011, 2012 are writing testing because it's very important. So they're writing it into the laws to start out with. And with that, I'll let Robert talk about global and the future.
Thanks, Jennifer. It's very interesting to listen to Jennifer talk. The conference so far and my time here in Spain, everybody's talked very much about the movement, about entitlement to do what you wish, which is fantastic. But in the US, we're a very money-driven environment, and the investment comes because there's an opportunity. So what Cannlabs has done is taken the essence of a lab, the importance of health and safety, and built a business around that. So you'll see from this chart in the middle that Cannlabs is slap in the centre of this. We get involved in the testing of products to make sure it's safe, to make sure the packaging aligns with what's inside the product. We also get involved in other tests that are available, and Jennifer touched on those a moment ago. And we also help product reformulation. So you're trying to produce a product that you want to sell and you want to make it appealing to as many people as possible. We can help you through the science to explain how you do that. So as we gathered all this information, we found there was a revenue opportunity for the company, and we spun off an extra couple of businesses there. One is strain data, and there's some information here just now. And as Jennifer talked about there, that's really designed to drive consumers to help them make the right choice based on what they're looking for. I don't partake, so therefore the strain names seem really strange to me. But if I'm looking for something for chronic back pain, then I'm looking for the cannabinoid profile that's going to work for my particular conditions. The other part of our business, which is beginning to become very, very beneficial to us, is the consulting. In the United States, everyone is looking at this as the new .com, as the green rush. There's money to be made everywhere, but there's a lot of people from outside the industry who don't understand the industry. So Cannlabs is positioned through our science to be able to help, plus the experiences that Jennifer and other people in our management team have had, to advise new people on how to apply for licenses. For example, the licenses are very, very expensive. There is literally thousands of pages of information, and for many people in this room, you would probably not want to do that. So we can help all aspects of that business. Diving a little bit deeper on the consulting side of it, the important thing to gain from this slide is that we have lots of information. Cannlabs over the last 4.5, 5 years has literally done tens of thousands of tests. We have significant amounts of data, and we understand not just what happened, but why it happened. So leveraging our test data to work with clients or new clients has been very beneficial, and it's helping our clients produce better products, and it's helping them run their businesses a little bit smoother. This next couple of slides is very interesting because, again, since I've been here over the last few days, people look at cannabis as, they almost get drawn to the creativity, the marketing, to the names, and to be part of something a little bit different. Again, the challenge is that from a long-term commercial view, we're in this for the long term, and we believe that as the United States, more and more people consider cannabis for other reasons other than just to get high, they need information. So when we developed strain data, what we did is took all the cannabinoid profiles that we have, we aligned those with our test results, we published test results on behalf of clients, and we allow our clients to benefit from consumers who are looking for tested cannabis products. So what that means in reality is that people look for the Cannlabs gold seal. Cannlabs has about 54% of the Colorado market. We've been in business, one of the longest established labs. We've got lots of great science. But for consumers, if you're going into your supermarket and you're buying chicken, you assume that that chicken has met all the regulations for health and safety. Our seal, the gold seal, is a marketing tool, but it does give consumers the visual cues to look for tested cannabis, preferably cannabis that meets and exceeds the regulations. So by leveraging it into straindata.com, we actually either can have a website, I would encourage you to visit the website, or we actually have the APIs, and we connect into the MG freeways, the leafways, the weed maps. We provide a portal essentially for consumers to look for cannabis that has been tested. The benefits to the businesses that we work with is actually it gives them another channel of marketing, allows them to be found, because again in the US, cannabis is mainstream. Okay, there's no smoking clubs. You have dispensaries, you can walk in there, and if you've got identification, you can purchase cannabis. and therefore our goal here is to help consumers. So do we feel that's working? And really right now for Cannlabs, you can see from this chart, Cannlabs has about 70% of the media mentions. That's important to us because when people are talking about cannabis and safety, they talk about us. We've been on CNN, USA Today, Marie Claire, the BBC. There's a fascination about this drug, and they're looking for people to help understand what does it mean, because everybody in this room has an opinion on certain aspects of cannabis, but the only thing that's true is science, and that's how we position ourselves. And in fact, through strain data, the analytics, we were quoted the other day as being the Google of analytics, so I like the sound of that. So I'm going to push you back over to Jennifer. Jennifer's going to talk briefly on some of the future of testing and research within the cannabis industry, and then we're going to open up for some questions for 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll be happy to answer any of them. Jennifer.
Yeah, so it's very interesting here that you have social clubs and we can buy, but we can't smoke it anywhere. It's absolutely ridiculous. People have been trying to have clubs moving to different places and people paying a membership fee, but so far it hasn't been going very well. Although one did just open up, so we'll see if that lasts. But yeah, it's very hard when, it's Friday, some of us partake in cannabis, some of us have a couple beers, but we have to go to somebody's house. We can't just go down to the smoking club or have a beer like everybody else. We have to go to our home. And Colorado, when we were progressing with the rules, they didn't want to allow you to smoke on your own patio or your backyard. Well, what if people can see? I don't care. We voted for this. 55% of people in Colorado voted to end prohibition. So it's just very strange that we have nowhere to go. And whenever we want to talk about smoking clubs, people bring up, the opposition brings up, well, what about driving? Well, what about bars? What about bars? What about Walgreens, who sells drugs that kill people every day? They're across the street from schools, but you can't have cannabis across the street. It's really backwards, but what I've learned here is everybody is very passionate about their own rights, and I love that. We are, but again, medical is really what's moving the United States, and I feel like if we could reach out some help to you, and funding. There are some beautiful booths out there that cost a pretty penny. I think these clubs need to get other people involved, growers, seed makers, other people to help fund pushing some of this. You need to be in front of your legislators all the time. This can't just be one meeting in May. This means when you're going through, and I'm not sure what it's called, but in Colorado, end of January, February to May, we're talking about making laws. People are up in their face constantly, and it's a constant battle still. So I think that and I understand that the smoking clubs, in the federations, some have different ideas. Same thing in the United States. We have about 3 local cannabis associations, but it's needed. And unfortunately, you have a small amount of people who are willing to pay for everybody else. And that's how it's been in Colorado. The same people give money, the same people show up at fundraisers, it's the same people all the time. And unfortunately, that's probably what's happening here. And you've got to try to get them on board somehow, but if not, you just need to take it into your own hands and mix with the people that want to bring this industry forward. And we're here to help. I mean, don't reinvent the wheel. I offered help to the last panel about, getting science in there and helping out, and people in the United States are more than welcome to help this industry move forward. And, that's why we all came here on a very long plane ride, but well worth it, and I love Barcelona. It's amazing. Research is going to be the key in the United States. We have fallen very short on this. unfortunately, our country wasn't as smart as, let's say, Israel in studying this and understanding it. Even though it is illegal, they still study and understand it, and our country fell short of that, and we're feeling that now. But we're slowly catching on. Right now there is a bill in front of the Senate to, I believe it's Senate, maybe it's the House, I'm not sure where it is right now, to reschedule. Most of us want deschedule, right? Can't kill you, tobacco, alcohol are descheduled items. But I feel like it's going to go from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 2. So uncertain with our future of cannabis in the United States. We don't know what that means for us. We don't know if that means that it's going to go under the government. So still, we all take a ton of chances, but the best thing about it getting rescheduled is now we can start researching it in the United States. So almost all universities will be happy to start researching, and then we can start coming to conclusions. And when we find these conclusions, it'll be very easy to pass the information to other countries. So research is going to be huge.
Hello, yeah, you hear me now. So that's really the presentation. You've got these little translators. So we'll open up to questions and for 5-10 minutes or so. Questions? Gentleman down here. Bueno, un momento. I can hear you.
Is there any open loop of verification of the data that you have collected between you or any other labs around the world to ensure a more standardised testing outcome?
So unfortunately, no. We're having a big problem with that, and we're having a big problem with, in Colorado, the labs have to be licensed and certified, and they come and certify our lab. But unfortunately, there's no reference lab or nobody testing if we are getting all the cannabinoids out. For instance, edibles. Edibles are extremely hard to analyze. They are lipophilic, they love fat, so when I'm analyzing, let's say, a chocolate bar from Incredibles down there, one of the best chocolate bars ever, the cannabinoids stick together, they stick to the chocolate, so it's very important you understand how to extract that. We are starting now with the other labs to do proficiency testing, having an outside company, like where we buy reference standards, having them make a custom standard and then passing it to the labs. But just for a custom standard, it's $8,000. So it's really tough right now. And science is a collaboration. It's always been a collaboration, but right now, all of us are, fighting amongst each other and, who has the best grow, blah, 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 or the best science. So we're working on that, and it's very needed, and I've spoken with some scientists here that I hope to collaborate with and share papers and stuff like that. But yes, more is needed for sure.
Thanks, Jennifer. Other questions? Gentleman in front.
Hola. Thanks. I got a question about your strain database. You got a lot of testing about strains, but the question is, if the plants are grown from seeds, many times the cannabinoids may change than if they are grown from clones. And the question is, if some patient want to get one